Welcome to
Johnny Rack, introverted intellect.
Ooh, what's going on, guys? My name is Johnny Rex. Here is Johnny. I actually watched that movie back in college, and I thought it was like so interesting. I don't think I appreciated movies as much back in the day as I do now. But I don't know. I guess being somebody who didn't watch a ton of movies growing up and never had that artistic mind as much growing up, I didn't really know whether or not that The Shining was a great movie. That came from The Shining. If you guys don't know, you young folks out there, The Shining is a must-watch of horror films. It was great. It confused me, but it was great. I mean, I still liked it, you know? And let me just pull up my notes here. I'm not looking my usual best today if you're on video. I just got done at the gym. I stink, and I haven't shaved, and I haven't cut my hair yet. But hey, accept me for who I am. Take me as I am, people. Anyways, for those on the podcast, you can't really see me anyways. So, and if you do, I apologize for looking like a scrub. Is it a scrub? Looking like a bum? Yeah. Anyways, today I'm going to talk about vulnerability. And I am going to say this. Vulnerability is the key to relationships, folks. At that time, when you were vulnerable, yeah, that was what got you closer together to the other person. I watched a show called Vanderpump Rules, a reality TV show. Yeah, you can say, "Oh, John, that's so fake. Why are you watching that? It's so fake." Excuse me. But I say that you can learn so much from reality television, and I will talk about it in another podcast. But as of right now, I'm gonna tell you this: if you watch reality TV shows, you can learn how to be a decent human being by watching the mistakes of other people. It's almost like reading a biography about the mistakes of like successful people, instead you're watching it in a way. But it's like, I mean, real life is reality, right? And people make mistakes constantly and they learn from it. And there was a point, I watched the whole season of Vanderpump Rules, and at the very, very end, there's this guy named Jax who became vulnerable. He became so ridiculously vulnerable. He admitted his mistakes. He realized his faults. He realized he admitted to saying certain things that he shouldn't have said. And his father died. And he just bawled his eyes out. He just wasn't this strong guy. And throughout the entire season, that's just what it was about him. He was just constantly being vulnerable. He finally he shaped and molded himself into something that it was a lovable character. He became a lovable character at the end of it all. Because you come to realize that and appreciate that his vulnerability is what got him to where he is. He was able to, you appreciate his breaking down of walls, his vulnerability, right? And that's just what I want to talk about today, because I don't think people realize that looking like you're a strong guy and have it all together, a strong girl or gal, looking like you have it all together is just not going to really do anything good for you. It's not going to do anything that will be beneficial to you in the end, because people will see you like, who would you rather talk to? Somebody, like, if you're in a room and you have this powerful person and you have this very not so powerful person, some random person, right? Yeah, you'll want to talk to the powerful person, maybe to get an edge, to get something. But maybe this is not a good analogy, but basically, I guess what I mean is the intimidating person isn't going to be as approachable as somebody who's not as intimidating, who's very, I guess you can say, let their guard down in some way. Somebody who you can relate to. It's the relating aspect of it all. You may have heard the famous TED Talk by Brené Brown. It's huge on YouTube. And it's about vulnerability in relationships. And I just want to tell you my own personal experience and views, somebody who grew up really having a hard time connecting with people. That was just who I was. I just could not connect with people for the life of me. I mean, I just didn't know how to talk to people in that regard, that way. But I realized that people really do accept you for who you are, and they see your vulnerability as a power, as something that's like, wow, you're letting down your guard, you're letting down your hair, so to speak, quote unquote hair. And the vulnerability allows you to connect in a human way. We're all human, we have mistakes, right? It tells a story that bridges the gap between you and the other person you're speaking with. You're telling the other person, hey, I'm no different from you. Sorry about that. I have flaws. I have experiences. I have emotions. That's who you are. You're vulnerable. So to put it in perspective, another analogy, think of somebody super cool, so to speak. Anyone, like a movie star, a coworker, maybe even a friend. Think about how they conduct their lives. Do they seem more distant? Maybe even a bit lonely, depressed often? Perhaps they're always missing from social gatherings because they're so cool. Actually, in college, I was that cool guy in my friend group. I wouldn't go to certain things. I wouldn't participate. I wouldn't talk if they're, I just looked really cool. That made me seem cool. But little did they know, I was distant, depressed, lonely. Like nobody knew that coolness was just, it was just a mask to hold the true emotions within me. And I knew this, but others did not. But I just welcomed it with open arms, because like, who doesn't want to be a cool guy, right? Like, you want to be like that guy everyone looks at. Like, you feel a certain sense of power, but yet you're so lonely. I bet you a lot of powerful people feel this way, where they put themselves to the top. They're the coolest guys. They're like the ones with the money, whatever it may be. And then at the end of it all, they're just they're lonely because nobody wants to like mess with them. Like, it's just so hard to approach them, Like, there's some kind of distance you have with people who are cool, quote unquote, right? I was suicidal. Like, people didn't know that. I was straight up suicidal in college because people thought because I was considered, well, it wasn't because people considered me a cool guy, but I was inside suicidal, but yet outside I was this cool guy, but nobody knew I was suicidal. So that's very dangerous waters to trek, right? For you. But get this, when I finally felt alive, when I finally felt true peace, was when I was really upfront with my emotions, and even when joking with them, when I took my mask off, when I was honest and vulnerable, that's when I was truly at peace with myself. It was during these late night conversations with my roommates. I was able to get closer to him and vice versa. But really, he just listened to me most of the time, honestly. He became my closest friend, even though I hated him so much before. Like, when I became his roommate and I started talking to him about certain things in my life that just really irked me, right? I just couldn't stand, and I was like, I'm done with, I hate this. I was able to vent to him. I took off my mask, became vulnerable, and got really close with him. And I realized, wow, I'm not as lonely as I thought. Like, this guy has my back. I'm not lonely. So try that with somebody maybe. If you're in college, like if you have a roommate, I suggest you do those late night talks. Let your hair down and just be who you are with them, because I'm pretty sure they'll accept you more than you think. And you just don't make yourself think you're like the bee's knees here. Nobody is. You gotta understand, like, people keep constantly thinking that they have something over others, but I don't get it. I've already said this in another podcast. Nothing that you have is going to be more of value than somebody else who is living the exact same time period, life as you. Everybody in the end is going to live and then die. Sorry to make it so morbid for you folks, but that's just reality. And if you don't take the opportunity to get close to your brother, to get close to your sister, to get close to your friends and family, then that's on you. I mean, I'm speaking to myself at this point. Like, I let go of a lot of friendships in my past, and I let go of a lot of good ones. And I can say right now, like, I don't have the big friend group that I used to have, but I have somebody that I could talk about my feelings with and help me not feel lonely at the very least. And he said, I also have my brothers to call, my stepdad, my mom, anybody really. I digress, folks. going back to my show notes here, the giving and taking of vulnerable moments, that is the what allows us to be set free, the mask. You know, the secrets that we have within ourselves, you know, it just reminds us that we are living indeed people of flaws and distorted lives. And being vulnerable is what allows us, our souls, to essentially intertwine in order to help us realize that we're not alone in this endeavor to live our tiny little lives. You know, so what does it take to be close to someone? Is basically just to be human, which in being human means to be honest with who you are. You know, you're not a robot, right? You don't live a super unique life. Like a giraffe will live a unique life, unique to you. I mean, unique to itself, that isn't common to you. It's going to eat grass. I mean, leaves off a 10-foot tree. You can do that, but not with your neck stretching up there. However, that would look very interesting. You're not a robot. Look, I have feelings. I've actually met humans close to being robots, though. But in the end, like, I know I can make them cry somehow. Like, I'm pretty sure there's something that will take them. You know, something. There are psychopaths out there, and that's scary. But, I mean, I guess the majority of the human race that has feelings. Okay, anyways. Choose the right moment to be vulnerable. I mean, you can be vulnerable in little ways. You don't have to be vulnerable in big ways. Like, I make these speeches at this club I have, and I would always get the evaluation feedback saying that, oh, you were so vulnerable, and I'm thinking, I wasn't that vulnerable, was I? And it turns out, yeah, I was. I guess, like, watching Vanderpump Rules reality TV show, that's pretty vulnerable, right? I mean, being like it's letting people know your shame and watching it. That's a sense of vulnerability. And also telling people, like, I'm a shy introvert and I was very depressed in college. Like, I guess that's so normal to me, but that's, I guess, a sense of vulnerability, because people often want to hide that and they don't want to show that they're vulnerable in that way. They want to be strong. I don't know. Anyways, but get acquainted at the right time. Just do it little by little. Like, example, there's a particular coworker of mine. She would come up to me. She told me something about, like, how difficult it is to work with another coworker, and I just really listened. You know, I just said, "Oh man, I feel the exact same way. You're right." And I'll tell her a story about, you know, I had a hard time with this coworker too. I guess that's like opening up who you are. That's being vulnerable. You're being vulnerable to your weakness in dealing with this particular coworker. Does that make sense? Like, the coworker that's hard to deal with. Okay, I don't know if this is, like, confusing everybody, but basically I guess the bottom line is that you got to build trust with somebody in little ways, to tell them your deep emotions about particular things. And that is what is getting you more vulnerable in your relationships, little by little. Don't be that cool guy that, like, is, like, distant and aloof of all these problems and all these situations. You know, you can relate to people. You know, you could talk about things that irk you or make you sad or mad or whatever. Don't think that you are just, you know, don't give me that BS about, like, I just don't know what to talk about with people, you know? But I'm a human being and I've gone through the same exact things you did. Be relatable, be understanding, be a loving human being that you were meant to be. All right? What is that word when you want someone to do something really badly? I don't know that word. Behoove? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to let it go from here. And I just want to end with this saying, once again, being vulnerable, that's a power. That's not easy to do. What's easy to do is be distant from all the problems of the world and not show your true face. Being fake, acting, being vulnerable, well, something I need to continue practice, and we all need to continue practicing in order for us to live our human lives in a more harmonistic way with one another. And with that said, I'm out. Introverted Intellect with Johnny Raxa out. Thank you very much.